Olympic gold medals, million-dollar contracts, legendary bloodlines. These 8 boxing prodigies had absolutely everything, except the ability to deliver when it mattered. From prison cells to glass chins, we're exposing boxing's most spectacular career crashes. Number 8. Francisco Panchito Bhado. Remember when everyone thought Mexico had found the next Oscar de la Hoya? Francisco Bhado was just 17 when he represented Mexico at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. This kid had everything: lightning fast hands, knockout power in both fists, and the kind of charisma that sells pay-per-views. Shelley Finkel, the guy who managed Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, signed him immediately. Showtime gave him a multi-fight deal before he could legally drink. Started his career with 9 straight knockouts, and we're not talking decisions here, we're talking first and second round demolitions. The hype train was at full speed, then reality hit harder than his left hook. First loss came to Juan Carlos Rubio in 2002, but okay, he bounced back and avenged it. The real problem? Jesse James Leja exposed him in 2004, and Leja was already past his prime. Here's where it gets wild. Bhado disappeared for 3 years, came back for 2 fights, then in 2011, police fired shots at him after he allegedly failed to stop at US border security. Turned out the kid who trained with Floyd Sr. and sparred with De La Hoya had zero discipline outside the ring. Classic case of too much too soon. Signed at 17, washed up by 24. That's not a career, that's a tragedy. Number 7. Yuri Foreman. Talk about a unique story. Yuri Foreman was literally studying to be a rabbi while holding a world title. The Belarus-born Israeli-raised fighter moved to Brooklyn and became the first Orthodox Jewish world champion in over 70 years when he beat Daniel Santos in 2009. The media ate it up. The boxing rabbi was pure gold for headlines. Problem was, his body couldn't keep up with his spirit. The defining moment? Fighting Miguel Cotto in Yankee Stadium in 2010. The first boxing match at the new stadium. Foreman tore his ACL during the fight but kept going because, in his words, a world champion doesn't quit. Noble? Sure. Smart? Hell no. The referee stopped it in the 9th round as Foreman literally couldn't stand properly. Doctors told him to take a year off. He came back in 9 months because fighters gotta fight, right? Lost to Paweł Wolak. Took a 22-month break. Came back. Got knocked out by Arislandi Lara in the 4th round. Now he's 41, certifying vegan restaurants as kosher in Brooklyn. From world champion to checking donut ingredients, boxing's a cruel sport, folks. Number 6. Breidis Prescott. Picture this: September 2008, Manchester, England. Undefeated British Olympic hero Amir Khan faces some Colombian nobody named Breidis Prescott. Khan's fighting at home. He's the massive favorite, future world champion written all over him. 55 seconds later, Khan's on his back seeing stars, and Prescott's the most famous Colombian not named Shakira. They called him the Conqueror after that. Imagine having your entire identity tied to 1 minute of work. Prescott was 19-0 with 17 knockouts. Suddenly everyone wanted a piece of him. So what happened? Classic case of terrible management. Instead of capitalizing on the biggest win of his life, his team had him traveling everywhere, fighting styles that neutralized his power. Lost a controversial decision to Miguel Vasquez where he dropped him in the 1st round. Went back to England to fight Kevin Mitchell. Lost. Got robbed against Paul McCloskey in Ireland. The crowd booed the decision. Then the wheels completely fell off. Mike Alvarado stopped him, Terence Crawford schooled him, and get this, he went from being 19-0 to finishing with a 31-17 record. From knocking out a future world champion to becoming a stepping stone for up-and-comers. Boxing doesn't get more brutal than that. Number 5. James Kirkland. James the Mandingo Warrior Kirkland might be the most violent fighter who ever won a world title. This Texas tornado had everything: an 88% knockout ratio, trained by the legendary Ann Wolfe, and a style that made every fight look like a prison riot. Which is ironic, because prison is exactly what derailed him. Twice. First arrest in 2003 for armed robbery, missed 2.5 years of his prime. Came back, rattled off wins, looked unstoppable. Then in 2009, right when HBO was calling him the future of boxing, he gets pulled over with a gun. That's another 18 months in prison. Imagine being 26 years old, undefeated, on HBO talking about ripping opponents' organs out, and then boom, you're in a cell while younger fighters take your spot. The tragedy? When he fought, he was must-see TV. His war with Alfredo Angulo in 2011 was Fight of the Year candidate. But after getting knocked out by Nobuhiro Ishida after 1 round, a guy with 7 knockouts in 29 fights, the mystique was gone. Canelo destroyed him in 3 rounds in 2015, sending him literally flying across the ring. His last meaningful fight? Getting stopped in the 1st round in 2020. Criminal record longer than his win streak. That's not how champions are made. Seth Mitchell. Seth Mayhem Mitchell might have been the most unique path to boxing failure ever. This guy was a Michigan State linebacker who watched a football opponent box on TV and thought, I could do that. Started boxing at 26. That's grandpa age in boxing years. But Golden Boy Promotions saw dollar signs. American, heavyweight, former football player, college educated. They fast-tracked him like he was on steroids. Within 4 years, he's 25-0 on HBO, being called the American Hope to dethrone the Klitschko's. One problem, his chin was made of paper mache. Jonathan Banks dropped him 3 times in 2 rounds. Mitchell came back, rebuilt his reputation, then Chris Arreola basically killed him with one right hand. Mitchell literally couldn't stand up without holding on to Arreola. Here's the kicker. Mitchell's team knew about his chin issues, but kept putting him in with bangers because that's what sells tickets. His trainer later admitted they were always one punch away from disaster. Retired at 31 with just 28 fights total. Fun fact, he lasted longer in the NFL with a blown out knee than he did in boxing with a glass chin. Number 3. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Imagine being born the son of the greatest Mexican fighter ever. That's pressure. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had the bloodline, the name, and surprisingly, real talent. Won the WBC middleweight title, defended it successfully 3 times, gave Sergio Martinez absolute hell in their fight. Should have been a Hall of Famer, right? Wrong. This guy makes every wasted talent list because he treated training camp like spring break. Weight issues? Check. Struggled to make 160, then 168. Ended up fighting at cruiserweight. Drug test failures? Check. Got fined $900,000 for marijuana after the Martinez fight. Literally quit mid-fight against Daniel Jacobs claiming a broken nose, then fans threw beer cans at him. The craziest part? Just this past June, he lost to Jake Paul, yeah, the YouTube guy, while his legendary father watched ringside. And oh yeah, he got arrested by ICE after the fight for alleged connections to the Sinaloa cartel through his wife. From carrying his dad's legacy to fighting influencers and getting arrested, that's a fall from grace that would make Netflix jealous. Number 2. David Price. David Price was supposed to be the British Klitschko, 6'8", Olympic bronze medalist, devastating power, ESPN's 2012 Prospect of the Year. This Liverpool giant knocked out everyone in his path. Audley Harrison, 82 seconds. Matt Skelton, 2 rounds. The British boxing press was ready to crown him the savior of heavyweight boxing. Then Tony Thompson happened. Thompson was 40 years old, been knocked out twice by Vladimir Klitschko, basically a gatekeeper. Price got knocked out in 2 rounds. They ran it back. Price got knocked out in 5. Turns out, despite being built like Thor, Price had the chin of a wine glass. Every time he faced real competition, he got knocked out. Eric Tepper, 1 round. Alexander Povetkin had him hurt. Christian Hammer dropped him. His own trainer said if David doesn't win a world title, he'll quit boxing because it would be the biggest failure ever. Well, guess what? Price retired at 38 without ever fighting for a major world title. The saddest part? He knew his chin was suspect, but kept taking dangerous fights because he needed the money. That's the dark side of boxing. Sometimes your greatest weakness is literally attached to your face. Number 1. Audley Harrison. Oh boy, here we go. The ultimate failed prodigy. Audley Harrison won Olympic super heavyweight gold in Sydney 2000, signed a £1 million deal with the BBC, had his own reality show, was given an MBE by the Queen. The British public literally paid TV licenses that funded his career. He was supposed to be the next Lennox Lewis. Reality check, his first real test, Danny Williams knocked him out. Lost to Martin Rogan, a taxi driver who took up boxing to lose weight. But here's the peak embarrassment, his fight with David Haye for a world title. Harrison barely threw any punches in 3 rounds. The crowd started doing the wave because they were so bored. Haye said afterward it was like boxing a punching bag that moved occasionally. The worst part? Harrison kept coming back. Fought on something called Prize Fighter, lost. He went on reality TV shows trying to rebuild his image. At one point, he was 31-7, but literally nobody respected him as a fighter. He turned British boxing into a joke for years. Promoters wouldn't invest in British heavyweights because of how badly Harrison flopped. From Olympic gold to carnival sideshow, nobody in boxing history has fallen further relative to their initial hype. And there you have it, 8 cautionary tales of what happens when potential meets reality and gets knocked the hell out. These guys had Olympic medals, famous bloodlines, $1 million contracts, and promotional machines behind them. But boxing doesn't care about your pedigree. It only cares if you can fight when the lights are brightest. Whether it was glass chins, prison sentences, or just plain lack of heart, these 8 remind us why boxing is the hardest sport in the world. You can have all the talent in the universe, but if you can't handle the pressure, the punishment, or sometimes just life itself, you'll end up on lists like this one. If you enjoyed watching these dreams get shattered as much as I enjoyed researching them, smash that subscribe button harder than Chris Arreola hit Seth Mitchell. Drop a comment telling me which failed prodigy hurt you the most as a fan. I know some of you bet money on these guys. And remember, in boxing, everyone's undefeated until they're not. Peace out, fight fans.